David, thank you both so much for talking with me about what will go down as the definitive dog movie of 2025, The Friend.
Thank you, Matt.
Nice to see you, Matt.
Mm.
Yes, yes, the two of you as well. I was so happy to see this in the setting I saw it in. It was at the Telluride Film Festival,
Oh,
and it
great.
was outdoor screening. It was
Oh,
like the last screening, I think, of the festival,
yeah, it
and
was.
everybody brought their dogs to the screening. It was
Yeah,
awesome.
that's great.
Um, but you guys have like truly like the best dog I've seen in a movie probably since Anatomy of a Fall, where Bing is just like this rare find of an animal that I can't believe. Like, people talk about the casting process for actors. What goes into finding the right dog to star in your movie?
It was not an easy process, Matt.
We started with a trainer with Bill Berloni. We had heard about him and met him, and we all got along. And it was a slow reach out to kennel clubs and dog groups, and through social media. Our producing partner Mike Spreeder was really involved in that, and we wound up, I think, meeting in person 30-ish some odd dogs all over the place, from New England to the Midwest. I mean, we really went all over. And this was in the fall of 2019 into the late winter, early spring of 2020, which is when we thought we were going to be making the movie. And Bing was the last dog that we met. He comes from Des Moines, Iowa.
We met 30 or 40 of, hundreds of dogs
That
whose
got
photos
submitted.
we saw and who we, investigated. And I remember we got really close on one dog who actually came to our office. We haven't talked about this. And we were thinking, oh, is this our dog? It's a sweet dog and looked great and was, and then like the dog snapped at David and that was it. The trainer was like, out, out. And like, because you can't have a dog that has any kind of like,
Aggression.
aggression on set.
Right.
Never know what's going to happen. So like the number of factors that are involved in finding the perfect, movie dog, there were a lot of things. And one of the things is who's the dog's owner? Like what's that relationship going to be like? And
Yeah.
Bing has one of the most kind of lovely and set friendly kind of owners you could imagine. She was with us every single day and
And she was really the secret sauce in a lot of ways, because Bing loves her so much. So wherever, her name is Bev Klingensmith, wherever Bev was, Bing, that was a really good way to direct Bing's eye line, because he would really be so concentrated on her. And she's an amazing person, and she's a trainer herself. And so she and Bill together were really a great team.
we talked a lot
Yeah.
about what like an actor has reasons to perform. They want to do a good job. They want recognition. Maybe they want to that they understand what a performance is. But for a dog, like what is a dog getting out of being on set every day? And it became pretty clear what Bing wanted was to make Bev happy, spend time with Bev, like be there with his owner, like do what she wanted. And once we understood that psychology, like the performance really came together.
Not that dogs like live their lives thinking, what kind of transactional relationship do I have with someone? But Bing really did want to please Bev.
Mm.
Absolutely. It's definitely a far cry sometimes from working with cats who are such divas and will just do
And
whatever the hell they
different.
want.
Yeah, that expression, herding cats,
We
is true.
we've
Yeah.
never worked with a cat. We've had a few dogs in films, but never a cat.
Never a cat.
Let's see.
But you guys have certainly worked with the city of New York, my hometown, and very
Oh,
much, I think, a very integral character here for this particular story. Tell me just a little bit about how setting this story or choosing to have the story in New York is something that is so important, not just to the characters, but then also for plot events as they unfold here.
I mean, it's, this is an adaptation of a book, a beautiful
Mhm.
book, Sigrid Nunez, that won the National Book Award in 2018. And, it's very much written to be a New York story that way. And
She's very much a New York
so that was
writer.
something that caught, and she's very much a New York writer. And that was something that caught our interest, like from the get-go, and figuring out a way to depict New York that felt right for this movie, that felt like this was a New York story, like, that was just highly specific. And so that was just something we were excited about doing.
But you're
Yeah.
right. Like even down to the plot events, like you kind of can't imagine the story somewhere else. It's like it hinges on a rent control apartment, not wanting to lose a, small rent control apartment. Like
Right.
the logic of it kind of required New York. So
And
there
you
was
Yeah.
no question.
the character of Iris, Naomi Watts's character Iris, just her deep connection to the city. You wanted to really feel that deep connection.
Mm.
Yeah.
She's a writer and part of a literary community, etc.
And being able to go out at the end of the film to Long Island as well and have the film conclude out there, it makes perfect sense. Obviously adapted from this book, though, like you said. What personal element of the book did you guys find that really, really spoke to you? Because this is such a profound story about grief and about loss, but also about found friendships, and I found it to be incredibly moving. So, what was it about the book that moved you?
Well, I think you've just hit on it. It's the book manages to capture or a story that captures universal themes that we all really identify with. So, like the aspects of friendship and loss and grief and the way we find each other, both human beings and dogs, and find solace in each other. That was just immediately, we were just really drawn to it. We also happen to both have grown up with dogs and really love dogs. So it really was an immediate love of the book that got us going.
Most of our working life together, David has had a dog. And he has a lovely dog now, but the dog he had just before his dog now was called Tiger. And Tiger, I've been teasing David that Tiger is his soulmate, but she was with, like, in our kind of, working family for 16 years.
Yeah.
And she was a really special dog. She was a star of one of our smaller films called Uncertainty. She showed up to work every day. And
And she was an amazing creature. I mean, she just like anyone who spent any time with Tiger with like trying to take Tiger home with them because she was just really that special of a dog. And you don't meet dogs like that so often. So she really made a big impression on us. And funnily, Bing is a little bit. I mean, Bing is a very big dog, so he occupies space in a different kind of way. But Bing is just a beautiful, loving, sensitive dog, and we really lucked out with him.
Yeah. I think the success of the movie hinges so much on, finding the right dog to play, to be Bing here. But like going beyond that, between Naomi and Bill, like if as far as like casting them for these specific roles, that core relationship is also super important. So what qualities in each of them were you specifically looking for to inhabit these characters?
Naomi was like came to mind really easily because she's so like what's going on in her interior life is so interesting, kind of like, I mean, you just look at her face, and she's really good at like expressing vulnerability and kind of um a kind of gentleness, but like you look at her face and it's just interesting to think about what she's thinking. She managed to project a kind of like inner life.
I mean, it's an interesting thing with film acting versus, stage acting. You know, something like a close-up doesn't exist on stage, right? But something like a close-up does exist in movies, obviously. And when you're on someone's face and it's that big, and they're not saying anything, you want to feel like you're experiencing their interior life in some way. And some actors have that. It's a real gift. And some actors don't really have that. And with Naomi, you have it in spades. It's really a beautiful thing.
Given how many scenes she had where her scene partner was a dog, like where they don't have dialogue together, they're just being together. Like that was a really important part of the role.
And it was an important part of casting Bing, actually, because, that was one of the reasons why we saw so many dogs. It's like, are we seeing a dog's face that we feel sympathy and empathy for? Do we go into the interior life of the dog, regardless of what the dog is actually thinking himself?
And then I would
Yeah.
say with Bill, like his character is interesting in this story because he's not in the movie a lot, but you've got to kind of feel his presence. He's got to make such a kind of impression that like that feeling about him kind of will resonate through all the scenes he's not in, and you really feel the weight of his character, like the charm of him, the fun of him, the kind of intensity of him. And Bill kind of brings that so effortlessly. Like he has that kind of charisma and that kind of like he's a
Like
memorable
strength
person.
and gravitas, and he makes anything feel light because there's something funny about him until it's not, right? So
Yeah.
that all of that was really I mean, he was, it was the first person we thought of,
And the first person Naomi thought of as
yeah.
well. Mm.
I want to talk a little bit about Big Creek Projects here because this is the second feature film that you guys are producing under this production company following Montana Story, which I know because of the pandemic had a really kind of rocky, release and such. But with this one, I'm curious to know after working on Montana Story and then jumping over to The Friend here, what learns were there from the production standpoint that you brought over then to The Friend?
That's an interesting question. Big Creek Projects came about to a large degree because we have been working with someone called Mike Spreeder for about a dozen years. And Mike is our producing partner now. And the three of us, in kind of cooking up the idea of going out to Montana in the teeth of the pandemic and trying to make a small film that could somehow be resonant of that time was really what like started the idea of, well, maybe we could grow something and do something more. This is actually, we produced a movie called, we're part of the producing team of a movie called Atropia that won the grand prize at Sundance
Yes,
this year.
I saw that.
And we're getting involved in help producing Ira Sax's next movie. So we're trying to develop a little bit of scope for the company, and not only with our own work, but help other filmmakers, realize things that maybe, have an individuality or specificity that studios might not necessarily jump on board with, and yet we think would have a broad enough audience to be viable productions. So we're pretty excited about what we're doing right now.
Yeah, that's really great. This movie continuously asks the question, what is going to happen to the dog? And I know it's a question that audience members have already been asking before they've even seen the movie. I feel like I get asked this all the time when trailers for new films release and it features a dog. Like, just tell me that the dog makes it. I'm curious to know for the two of you, what movies can you think of where that featured a dog that just completely ripped your heart out?
The any movie that has a performance by a dog that's strong, whether it's a very broad movie or whether it's a movie like Anatomy of a Fall from 2 years ago, if you have feelings for dogs, if you're sensitive to dogs, they almost always work. You'll just
Yeah.
find from Beethoven to Marley and Me to Rin Tin Tin, Lassie movies. Like, there's a reason why people keep making them because we love dogs so much. So I would say almost for me, almost any dog movie kind of hooks me.
No, I'm with you. The people always warn you about working with children and animals, but there's a magic about working with children and animals too. Like there's something unreflective and open and innocent and real about the performances they give you. And I think it's an easy thing to connect to if we just stay out of the way and give them the space to be themselves and do what they do so well.
I always love that line in Shakespeare in Love where they say comedy, love, a bit with a dog. That's what audiences want.
Yeah.
Well, Scott and David, thank you so much for your time here. Before we go, I know you said you guys are producing some films that have not yet been released yet, but have you guys already started thinking about the next film for the two of you that you guys are going to embark on?
We have. I can't really talk about the specifics of the story, but it's a script that we've developed with and is written by Bruce Norris, who is a Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright from Clybourne Park,
and who also plays the veterinarian.
He plays the vet in The Friend.
Nice. He's a friend of ours.
So we're very excited about it.
That's great. Thank you once again. Really, really appreciate it. I hope people seek this film out because, like I said, it really moved me. It's got bits of comedy in it. And I think, like you said, universal themes that anyone can relate to. And who doesn't love a bit with a dog? So
Thank you.
thank you
Thanks
guys.
a lot.
Take care.
Take care.
Take care.
Yep, you
Bye-bye.
too.